Okay, today's lesson, ordering rational numbers. And as a review, rational numbers, remember, it's any number that can be written as a fraction. So the number 5 is a rational number because I can write 5 with a whole number underneath it, the number 1, and I've changed that into a fraction, 5 over 1. So it's a rational number. All fractions are rational numbers because they're fractions. And then decimals as well are rational numbers because remember we can change those into fractions simply by saying the fraction out loud. We look at this and the 7 is in the hundredths place, so we say this is 37 hundredths. 37 hundredths. So again, change it into a fraction, a rational number. All right? Well, what about when you have rational numbers and they want you to order them, say, from least to greatest? Well, let's first look at decimals. How do we order decimals? Let's go back and let's take that 0.37, and let's say we have 0.34, and maybe we have 0.034. Okay, and 0.33. And we have to order these from smallest to largest. And the way we do that is we just compare each place value. All right, so we will start in the tens column. We have a 3, a 0, and a 3. So which one is the smallest out of all of them? Well, it's this one right here. So that is going to be our smallest, 0.034. So we are going from least to greatest. All right, that one's gone. Now let's look at the second number. Okay, we have a 7, a 4, so far that one's smaller, and a 3. Which one's smaller out of all of those? This one. So that is going to be the next one in order, 0.33. Let's cross that off. Now let's go back to these. We had a 7 and a 4. This one is smaller, so 0.34, and 0.37 is the largest. Now hopefully that was a review from elementary school, comparing decimals. You look at each place value. All right, what happens if the rational numbers are not all decimals? Let's say that we've got some fractions in here. We've got 2/3, and we have 0.45, and let's say we have -1.5, and we have to order those from least to greatest. Well, the problem here is I've got this fraction. Well, the easy peasy thing to do is anytime you have a fraction, just change it to a decimal. It's super easy to order decimals from smallest to greatest. So, how do we change this? Remember from our other video, this is the same thing as saying 2 divided by 3. So on your calculator, 2 divided by 3. Go ahead and plug that in and see what you get. Okay, did we get 0.66 repeating? Okay, so now we are going to compare these 3 and order them from least to greatest. So we look, and the least, we've got a 0, 0. Now, you might think, ooh, 1, that's pretty big. But what do we notice? This is a negative. These both are positive, so this automatically is going to be the smallest because it is a negative. Now we come over here and we've got the 4, and we've got 6. This 4 is smaller, so that is 0.45 and 0.66. Now, you should change this 66 back to the 2/3 because when you check your answers, it's going to have it written with the fraction. And it's easier to double check your answers if you have it the way the answer is. And so this would be your final answer. Well, let's say we just have fractions. All right, well, the easy peasy way is if the denominators are the same, then all you have to do is look at the numerators. So which one's bigger, 6 or 8? 8/11ths is bigger than 6/11ths. All right, well, they're not always going to be that easy. Let's say they give you two fractions, 3/4, 3/5. And they want you to compare those. Well, when the denominators are different, you can't just easily compare them. Here's the simple thing to do, folks. Change them to decimals. It's easier to compare. So when you have fractions, change it to decimals. Now, what do you remember? I told you you should always know what 3/4 is. You don't even have to plug that into your calculator. But if you do, go ahead, pause it now, and change 3/4 into a decimal, and then change 3/5 into a decimal. Okay, there you have it. 0.75, 0.6. Which one is bigger? 7's in the 10ths column, 6 is in the 10ths column. 0.75 is bigger. Okay, so 3/4 is bigger than 3/5. All right, so anytime you have fractions, just turn them into decimals. And that'll be the easy way to order rational numbers. All right, I'm going to give you one problem. I want you to work this one out. Okay, here's your problem. Order from least to greatest. Remember, change these into decimals. Don't get freaked out by the whole number. Keep the whole number. Remember, the whole number and then change that part into a decimal. Go ahead and pause and see what you come up with. All right, follow as I go along, and I'm going to work it out. And if you made any mistakes, you know, hopefully you can see what you did wrong by watching how I do this. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change 2 and 5/10 into a decimal. 2 and 5/10. Okay, so 5/10, you can simplify that. Perhaps you know, wow, that's a half. All right, and a half is 0.5. If you didn't know 5/10 was a half, you could just simply, on your calculator, 5 divided by 10. And that would give you 0.5. All right, so that should give you 2 and 5/10. Now, this is nice and easy. Don't have to do anything to that. That's 2 and 7/10. Now, here we have 2 and 1/4. And again, this is another one of those fractions I said you should memorize. If you couldn't remember, you can still go on your calculator and put in 1 divided by 4. And you should have come up with 0.25. So putting that with the 2, we have 2.25. Here are 3 rational numbers. We now have to put them from least to greatest. Now they both have the whole number of 2, so we have to go into the tenths column. And I've got a 5, a 7, and a 2. So there's my first one, 2.25. And now I've got a 5 and a 7. There's the next one, 2.5. And the last one is 2.7. But my final answer, I need to put it back in the fraction form. So I'm going to put the 2 in the fourth, 2 and 1/4, then 2 and 5/10, and last is 2.7. So this is my final answer, ordering from least to greatest. All right? So what have we learned today? We have learned that we can change rational numbers. They must be turned into fractions, and when we have to compare decimals and fractions together, that we're going to change those fractions into decimals because it's a lot easier to do. All right. If you need to, go back over and review the video. Otherwise, if you have a question, will you please go on to Schoology and shoot me a question, and I'll check that out and make sure that I get those things answered for you on block day. And I think that's it. Make sure you've taken some good notes. Thanks for watching. See you in school. Bye.